This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Halterman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dudes Who Bet Sports Show. We do have breaking news that we will go ahead and cover. Wasn't planning on doing this today, but it is official. The college football playoff will expand to 12 teams starting in 2024. So we've got one more year after this year of the 4 teams. Then we get to 12. What are your initial thoughts of this?
I absolutely love it. Don't you?
Yeah.
I thought we might get 8, and I would have been satisfied with that. But 12, this is fantastic. And this, this should, it won't, but it should end all controversy, because if you're not one of the 12 best, if you're battling for that 12th or 11th spot, you're not good enough probably anyway. You know what I mean? You shouldn't complain. I mean, we kind of look at it this year. Can you pull it up right quick on who's 12 right now in the standings?
Yeah, let me do that. I'll pull up you keep talking. I'll pull up the top 12
okay.
here real quick.
Because, even if you get past 8, you're kind of starting to water it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's going to end like this year. We're going to have some controversy if everything plays right. USC is going to be a one-loss team that gets in over Ohio State. And when you've gone 11-1 in a season, you do deserve to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at that, what you've just pulled up, and go all the way down to number 12.
So number 12, yes, number 12 right now is Washington. So
10-2 is great. That's a great season. So they would be in. Okay. Now, if you're below them, just kind of scroll down below that 12 spot. You got a 3-loss Florida State, a 3-loss LSU. Look, all of the rest of those, with the exception of Tulane, have at least 3 losses.
Yeah.
You don't deserve to be in a playoff for the national championship when you've lost 3 out of 12 games. You just don't.
No, and so that, like I said, if we're over here and we're debating should Washington or Florida State go, well, in the grand scheme of things, it's not as important as, say, if USC or Ohio State goes.
Yeah, and you look here, you got 10-11. They've lost 3 games. Now, I think this year we don't usually we have more 1-loss teams and more 2-loss teams than we do. We don't really have that this year. So I think the whole point you're trying to make is this is going to end a lot of controversy. It's going to include more teams. I don't know why they haven't done it long before now. I really don't.
The negative side of it, we talk about it all the time. I don't necessarily think this is a negative, but I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. College football was the one sport where the regular season mattered more than any other sport. You are lessening that. The great thing about college football, every game, man, it meant something. If you lose one game, you might be out. If you lose 2, you're definitely going to be out.
Yes.
What do you think about that? That is going to be the one negative part of it is now, say you're at Kansas State and you've lost 3, maybe you can still get in the playoff.
I would agree. I would agree with that. It could hurt the regular season, but you still are in a position where you're going to have games you have to win.
Yep.
You still are not going to eliminate that. It's not like the NFL when you can, for this, we're going to talk about it here in a little while. You got a team that might have a losing record get in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not going to happen in this situation. And when you scroll down through here, you got a team like Tennessee, who is the odd man out this year. They screwed up. And again, it's an excuse. You can't have an excuse. They should have beat South Carolina. There was no doubt about it, but they didn't. And if you do screw up once, you're still going to get in. And I think most of us can agree Tennessee deserves to play for something.
Yeah.
They've had that good a year. Ohio State has lost 1 game. They deserve to be in some sort of a playoff.
Yeah.
When you've lost 1 game. If TCU should happen to get beat, they may be out of the playoffs. And there goes a storybook season where you win 12 in a row. Only 2 other teams did it. They deserve to be in a playoff.
So let's take a look at what this would be if we had it this year. Now, again, these rankings will change. We're just going to use this for what we have right now. You're going to got championship week coming, and it's going to change. All right, but so basically, the top 4 teams would get a bye, and then 5 would play 12, 6, 11, 7, 10, 8, and 9. So you would have, if it was this year, and if this were the final rankings, and again, I know they're not, you would have Ohio State taking on Washington in round 1. Alabama would take on Utah. Tennessee would take on Kansas State, and Penn State would take on Clemson. Those are marquee matchups right off the bat with this thing.
Yeah, you got an number 8 seed Penn State against a number 9 seed Clemson.
I mean, that is a huge game. If that's happening in the regular season, it's like, wow, this is a marquee matchup.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to incorporate the bowls in this. These will be like bowl games, or whether this is going to be a home field thing where the 5 would get the home game against the 12. I'm assuming that might be what they're going to do.
I think you're going to see home playoff games for these first and second rounds, and then the bowls come into play by the sounds of it.
And then that way you can still have your other bowls. And, it's always been the old excuse that, these guys, they can't play this many games. Well, every other division does. Division 2, the FCS, Division 3, everybody else plays this. And, oh, yes, these guys, most of them, unless you're not in a bowl game, and there's like 68 teams that are in a bowl game. So most teams are still practicing right now because they're involved in a bowl game. And most teams don't have a Christmas because they are going to a bowl game, unless you're in a bowl game before Christmas. So that's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse when the lower divisions can have a playoff system and the big boys can't. There's no excuse. You
would basically play the first round games on, if it was this year, December 10th. Their second round games are December 17th. You could take your week off, and then you get right back into the bowl preparations for the Final Four, which would be New Year's Day, around New Year's Day, and then the last game when the last game always is. So, it's simply just too easy to pass up is the best way to put it.
There's 130 Division I football teams. Only 12 of the 30 are going to be involved in this kind of situation. And then as you go down through it, you're going to eliminate. And there's only going to end up being like 4 that are left, just like always. And they have played a couple extra games. I could see down the road that maybe because of these extra games, maybe eliminating a regular season game instead of playing 12, maybe 11, or the championship games, the conference championship games. But there's money involved in all of that. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Neither one of those things are going to happen. And you just talk yourself into why right there. The final 8, if it was formful, again, we're not debating these mythical games, just saying your final 8 would be Georgia versus Penn State. I think that would be a very interesting game. Michigan and Tennessee. I think everybody would be very intrigued by that game. TCU, Alabama, and USC, Ohio State. So even if I listed those first games, that 5 through 12 and all that, it's like, okay, yeah, there's some okay games. They're pretty good. Look at these final 8 that we have.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
Every single one of those would be must-see TV. You'd have to watch these. This is Georgia, Penn State, 2 storied programs.
Yep.
I think and then you get Michigan, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Would that not be a fascinating matchup?
Yes.
You got the underdog TCU team that's had no respect all year against the big boys, Alabama. Could TCU go in there and beat them? And then you got USC and Ohio State. Oh, my God. Would that not be a game?
Yeah, the storylines would be incredible. And again, this is what we can have and what we will have in 2024. Again, if you're just now joining us, they have passed it in 2024, expanding the playoff to 12. And finally, college football joins the rest of the universe that does this. I mean, this is not a new concept. And so it's time. I get the traditions are going to be out the window a bit, but sometimes traditions that are dumb like this need to be out the window.
Well, they are.
And that's just how it is.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to join the new world, and that's what this is. And
Yeah.
why they haven't done it, the money they have missed out on is just enormous over these years.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to just have 2.
No.
And then they went to 4. And I never thought we'd get to 12. I never did. I thought 8 was going to happen soon, but 12. And what this does also, it does, and you got these teams that are in really, really good conferences, like the SEC. And you lose a couple, like Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to get rewarded now. And I think that's what needs to happen.
Well, and also it gives you an opportunity if you're a smaller school. I know this year we don't have that school, but say Tulane was 11-1.
Yeah,
right? They might be able to get in there. And again, that's kind of what college athletics are about.
Yes.
Think of the NCAA tournament. What makes that cool? The small schools have a shot, and St. Peter's makes a run, and everybody gets behind them.
And it happens every year.
We don't have that in college football. It's tougher for teams in college football to do it. But even in Cincinnati's case last year, they made it, and that was great. And while they got beat handily, they were just as competitive with that team as anyone. But my point would also be here, even in Cincinnati's case last year, they might win a game or 2 in the playoffs as well. And then you have that little team making a run.
Yes.
And I think that is something that everybody can get behind. So, you think back of Boise State, how good they were in the early 2000s.
Absolutely.
Utah had a great team 1 or 2 years with Alex Smith at quarterback. I could go on and on and on. Teams that they never got the opportunities. They're going to get their opportunities now. And I think that is a huge, huge plus. It gets college football back with all the other college sports where these little schools at least have a shot at it.
Yeah.
And that's the spirit of college athletics. And I know college football is nothing more than a minor league system now, but still you do get that aspect of it back with this.
Yeah. You got Central Florida. Remember when they were so good that year?
Right. Another team. Yes.
Yeah. And I really believe if Tulane was 11-1 instead of 10-2, they would be in the top 12.
Well,
I think
exactly. That's what I just said. Yeah. To like say this year we don't have that because those teams, and Central Florida was a team that shot themselves in the foot too that could be up there. But it's not going to hurt when that team is 11-1, say like a Tulane or a Central Florida this year, or even a Cincinnati. It's not going to hurt to have them in a playoff. It can do nothing but good. And hey, maybe they're number 12 and maybe they have to go on the road. At least there is a chance for them.
Yeah, this is great news. It's the best thing that could ever happen.
Yeah.
And it's long overdue, and it's I can't think of anything negative about it.
JL says it best, and he's right. And it is the craziest part about it. The NCAA, they only care about money. Think of the millions and into the hundreds of millions, as JL put it, that they have lost out on this. I mean, over the years, my goodness. And I really believe COVID kind of dented the money pile that they had. And I think COVID has accelerated these playoff talks, accelerated all this, accelerated OU to the SEC, Texas to the SEC, because these schools, I'm not going to say they need money, but their big room that has the pile of money that they just have laying around, it's starting to dwindle a little bit because of that COVID year and all the money and the revenue that was lost. So they're looking at ways to make it up. And this just made sense. Even the Rose Bowl, which was the biggest stickler of all, they signed off on this. And so that tells you there.
Sure.
It's time. And I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. And, I would get so sick of these college presidents saying, oh, this is too hard on the student athlete. Such bogus. I mean, their whole job is to raise money for the schools. They're just a fundraiser is what they are. And so and these big time football programs run the university because they fund the entire sports programs at these places.
Right.
And that's why money is such an issue at these schools. So it's great news.
All right, let's move on. I definitely wanted to touch on that. I did not think that was something we would see in our lifetime, even my lifetime, honestly.
Yeah. Maybe not yours. I mean, maybe not mine, but I think it was coming. The 12 shocks me. That shocks me. I thought we were getting close to 8. I thought that was going to happen, but 12, wow. Pretty good.
Yeah. Another thing it does, JL, your comment here made me think of it. Okay, we've got people, that let's say they go to the Rose Bowl, but it's not in the playoff, and like eight of the best players opt out of the game. That's another problem, and this is kind of going to help. If you are one of those top 12 teams, you're not going to have guys opting out of bowls. It's not meaningless anymore.
Yeah.
Listen, the Rose Bowl should never be meaningless, and I hate it that people opt out, but that's where we're at, and what are you going to do?
And that's something that you never heard of as recent as 3 years ago.
True. Yeah.
Players deciding they might get hurt.
It seemed like 3 years ago, maybe 5.
All right. Time goes by so fast. You're probably
right. It's a new problem.
It is. And because that was just unheard of. You go to a bowl game, that's your last game. You want to play. Now you're a senior, or you're going to opt out and declare for the draft. You're just afraid you might get hurt.
One last thing, and then we'll move on from this because I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but it might get people to these bigger schools to schedule better non-conference games as well. We have so many games that are worthless right now in the non-conference. With 12 in, it gives you a little bit of margin for error. So you might see some better games on that opening weekend as well.
Because in the past, if you've lost one of those marquee games, you had to run the table. I think it's only been one time a 2-loss team has made the 14 playoff.
Yeah.
So if you lost that opening season game, you weren't out of it, but you got to roll off 11 in a row or you're out of it.
And JL points out here, CJ Stroud basically said post-Michigan game press conference that he would not play in a playoff that was not a playoff bowl game. And so that's a guy who many thought had a chance to win the Heisman. He loses a game, and now it's like, yeah, forget about the bowl game. I mean, that's what's happening, and it's not.
So he is eligible for the draft this year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and you got to look at it both ways, but my goodness, that university has given him a lot.
It's kind of sickening, especially now with the NIL situation that's going on. It's like, I don't know. I don't like where college athletics. Well, I'll be specific. I don't like where college football is going at all, to be honest.
You're hearing this NIL stuff, and I don't follow the college basketball as much. I don't know that it's even in college basketball much.
Well, it's okay. You said much. You're right about that. I don't think it's anything close to where football is, but it's there.
Yeah, but you don't hear them getting this big money when they're out recruiting them. And maybe one of the reasons for that is your top-notch players that are NBA bound are only going to be in college 1 year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
JL does have kind of a devil's advocate to what I just said.
Right.
And JL, this could absolutely end up being true because you do make a good point. He said, couldn't it be basically the opposite of what I said? We're going to schedule tougher games. If you're juggernaut like Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, et cetera, you're going to be in the top 12 with 2 conference losses or better. No need to schedule tough preseason. That could be the case.
Yeah.
Also, the super conferences are starting to kind of form, right? UCLA, and USC going to the Big Ten, Oklahoma, Texas, the SEC. Who knows what else is going to fall? Maybe those conference games, maybe you're going to have more of them, and perhaps they're going to be tougher week in and week out. Already, some of these conferences are pretty tough.
I think I've heard in the SEC they play 8 conference games now. When OU and Texas gets in there, they're going to play 9.
Right.
So you'll have one last. Of course, the Big 12 already plays 9 because they play everybody because there's only 10 teams. But that I can see if I was in the SEC right now, I would play the weakest non-conference schedule I could find.
Right.
Because I don't want to lose a non-conference game. You got to get 3 wins or 4. And so, that's a pretty good point. JL's, he's thinking. And Another problem, we don't need to get into that, but yeah, that is a good point. If I'm Oklahoma, they always try to schedule one good opponent in the non-conference. When I go to the SEC, I don't want to do that. I don't think anymore because I'm going to play some pretty good teams in the SEC.
So. Yeah, and the Big Ten plays 9. We play 9 as well in the Big 12. So, I think that is definitely now. I don't know about next year when I think teams are joining next year. So I don't know how that's going to look. I probably jumped the gun, I guess, on the schedule because JL's right. You could see a much more conservative approach as well. See what happens on that.
The new schools don't come into to the Big 12 anyway until 25.
I think a couple of them come in 2023.
Oh, really?
24. I think Houston and BYU are coming in.
Okay, well, I haven't
maybe Central, and some other ones are 2025. There's a couple that are coming.
And I tell you, it could come down in the off season that OU and Texas are going to jump sooner than what we thought.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's a fluid situation, is how you'd have to describe it. It's day by day at this point. So
I don't think they'll jump next year. I think it's the year after.
Yeah, and with college sports right now, things are changing in a hurry, like I said. So, all right. Well, I guess we're going to rapid fire some of these games here. Don't want to be here for 3 hours, but definitely wanted to cover that. That's the big news today. All right, let's get into the actual games. We're going to cover all the NCAA games, and this one is not a conference championship, but it is a makeup game. I thought we'd talk about it. Akron and Buffalo, a little action to kick us off on Friday. Buffalo, 11-point favorite. If Buffalo wins, they're in a bowl, so I'm leaning Buffalo. What about you?
Well, I think so. This game has to be played because a snowstorm canceled it during the regular season. So it's a noon kickoff. There might be 5 people at the game, maybe.
You would think.
Yeah, it's not good. Akron's awful, although they did win last week. But I'm going Buffalo, and I think they win easy.
All right, let's move on from that one, and let's go to the Conference USA championship here. North Texas taking on University of Texas San Antonio. UTSA 10-2, undefeated conference year. North Texas, a scrappy bunch. At times are decent, at times haven't played very well. UTSA -8.5. Where are you leaning here?
Well, it's a home game, for one thing. In these smaller conferences, they play at whoever has the best record. Right. They reward the best team because they got to get a crowd of some kind at these games. North Texas is scrappy. They're, like you said, offensively, they're really good. UTSA has shown they're not a flash in the pan. They had a great year last year. Kind of got off to a little shaky start, but their non-conference schedule was pretty tough this year. Got her going. They're on a roll. 8.5. The game's at home. North Texas will give them some trouble, but I think they end up pulling away late and win that one by 14 or so.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the -8.5 for the Road Runners as well. I think they're going to be pretty tough in this spot. I think they're just clearly the best team in that conference. I think they'll show it on Friday. All right, Utah USC. It's so funny. We talked about this on Sunday on the Daily Show. We said USC was -1, and we said if you like USC, hop on that -1 right now because it's going to go up. All right, here we are on Thursday afternoon. USC -2.5 here for the Pac-12 championship against Utah. I don't imagine that 1.5 has changed your opinion. We loved Utah, or we loved USC on Sunday. Do we still like them now?
Yeah, I'm all over it. I'm really surprised. It's 2.5. Aren't you?
Yes.
I think it should be 6.
Well, it's not going to be 6. I thought it would be 3.5.
Oh, I think it should be more. I know they beat them in the regular season, but it was in Utah. It was like 5 games ago. USC's playing much better now.
Yeah.
USC got some horrible calls or they would have won the game and they would be undefeated and ranked number 3 in this BCS or whatever this is. They would be 3, maybe 2.
Right.
So you have the Heisman Trophy winner, more than likely. You got a dynamic offense against a Utah team that's good, but they've been a disappointment. And they've flunked a couple of tests. When they had a chance after they lost that Florida game, and that turned out to be a bad loss. They had a chance to get things back when they went to Oregon, and they got beat. So I just don't think they're that good. I don't. And if USC doesn't turn it over, and I heard today some guys talking about they've only had 4 turnovers all year. USC. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
12 games that you only turn the ball over 4 times as much as they throw it.
Yeah.
So law of averages says they're due for some turnovers, but they haven't. I just think they're going to win. I don't have any doubt they're going to lose. I hope they do, but I don't have a doubt.
I'm with you. I think USC is going to roll in the spot. I think 2.5 is fair. I liked 1 better, but 2.5 is fair. I think USC wins this game. I'm with you. Like, I think they're going to win by a touchdown, but I understand the line was 3.5 or 4. I think 2.5 still value for that. All right, let's go on to Saturday, the Big 12 championship game kicking off here at 11 a.m. TCU and Kansas State. TCU, same situation as USC. Win and you're in. This is another one. They were 1-point favorites on Sunday. They're up to 2.5, like we thought they would be. What do you think about the Horned Frogs against the K-State Wildcats?
Well, I like the Horned Frogs a lot in this one too. And the country doesn't, and they never got any respect. The game is basically in their backyard in Arlington instead of Fort Worth. So they're going to have the crowd, although K-State will bring a ton of people. They travel pretty well. I'm not as confident in this one because I've seen TU struggle a little bit in games. The thing with Kansas State is who's going to be there? Who's going to show up? Some games they don't play very well. Other games they look as good as anybody. They have a chance to win this because they're well coached. They're tough. They're scrappy. They know how to win. So they're going to be loose, relaxed. They have nothing to lose in this game. And when you come into a situation like that, you can play lights out. So I'm not as confident in this one, but I like TCU to win.
Mike Somich said on one of our daily shows last week, he's thought Utah was a better team than Kansas State. And I didn't really get a chance to argue. We probably will talk about it Saturday, and I waited. But I think K-State is a better team than Utah. So I give K-State a better chance than Utah. I'm with you. That being said, I'm still going to take TCU in the game. I would call it like this. I will not be shocked at all if K-State wins this game. I would be fairly surprised if Utah beats USC.
Oh, I will
That's
too.
the way I look at it.
I agree with you.
It has everything to do with, I think K-State is underrated, and I think Utah, I think K-State would beat Utah. I like K-State.
Yeah, they're similar teams, K-State and Utah, very similar.
I still don't think they're going to beat them. That's the thing. I still think TCU will beat them in the end, but I think that's going to be a great game to kick us off.
I do, and I just keep comparing this team to OU back in 2000. They're a team of destiny. They've won some games you didn't think they were going to. They just keep plugging away. And last week in a game where they had to win, they just slaughtered an Iowa State team that had played really well defensively all year long, and they just beat the snot out of them. So I think they're going to win, and I think their quarterback deserves a lot of recognition for the Heisman.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think he'll get it, but I think he's had that kind of season for sure.
Yep.
Toledo and Ohio in the MAC championship game. Toledo is a favorite in here. I don't really know why. Toledo's a 1.5-point favorite. I am on the Bobcats of Ohio. What about you?
Give me the Bobcats all day long. They're going to catch on to one of those rockets and blast them into space. They're playing great, the Bobcats. And Toledo's stumbling, and they lost to a very mediocre team last week. I don't remember who it was because those MAC teams are all alike.
Yeah.
When you get past Ohio. I don't know. When I saw that line, I thought, I don't get that. So that game's on Saturday, right?
Yep.
That might be my best bet of the day. I don't know, but I really like Ohio in this game.
Valparaiso takes on New Mexico State. No line on that one. Don't think we need to talk about that
No,
one. New Mexico State.
I do want to mention this. Here is a perennial horrible football team.
Mm-hmm.
Look at their record.
Yeah.
Jerry Kill, who's been everywhere. And I remember when he took that job and we were talking about new coaches, I thought, you may remember this. We were discussing, I said, why in the world would a man with health problems
Yeah.
in New Mexico State at 60 years old, 65, whatever he is, I couldn't believe he took that job. They've won 5 games, and I don't think they've won 5 games total in the last 10 years.
They had a game canceled against San Jose State, and I guess San Jose State didn't want to make the game up, so now they've picked up Valparaiso. My guess is they're trying to get that 6th win to get bowl eligible.
Absolutely, and I would too.
Yeah, so we'll see. No line on that one, but it's interesting that popped up. So.
They can play Buffalo if Buffalo wins.
Yeah, there you go. That could be what they do.
Yeah.
All right, Sun Belt Championship game. This should be a pretty good game. Coastal Carolina and Troy. Troy is an 8.5-point favorite in this game. Troy, they kind of lost that game to App State early that they shouldn't have lost. But other than that, they have been really, really good. Does Troy cover the 8.5 in this one?
No confidence whatsoever in Coastal Carolina. Every time I think they can cover, they don't. Or if they're heavy underdogs, they were 15-point underdogs last week to James Madison. I thought they were a cinch to play them closer than that. They got slaughtered 48-7. Troy all the way. The game's in Troy, Alabama. I've been through there a million times on the way to Florida. That is a town that supports their university. They got signs up all over the place.
Yeah.
That's a huge game for them. They're going to win easy.
I like Troy a lot in that game as well. I'm with you on there. Coastal Carolina pretty banged up. That's the problem. Yeah. Quarterback really hadn't been healthy all season, on and off. All right, let's go to the SEC championship game. Many years. This is the game of the day on this championship Saturday. I'm not so sure about it this year. Georgia's a 17.5-point favorite over LSU in this spot. LSU got beat to Texas A&M last week. And not only did they get beat, they got slaughtered.
Yep.
I don't know about that. I think Georgia's going to roll. What about you?
Yeah, I do too. This is not the way you want to go in to play Georgia. You want all the momentum you've got, all the confidence you've got, and it went out the window last week. I kind of thought they might get ambushed down there at Texas A&M. That's all that the Aggies had to play for. And I thought if they had any pride left, they could rally and beat them, and they did. And LSU's living off that win over Alabama. They really haven't done a whole lot else. I don't see any way in the world they can win this game. I just don't. You look at the spread. The only reason you might look at that is Georgia sometimes doesn't score much. I don't know if LSU scores any. I just don't. I can see Georgia holding them to like 10 points.
It's going to get bad, I think. Yeah, that was not good by LSU. We also saw LSU almost lose to Arkansas when they didn't even have a quarterback. Talking about Arkansas. So, I don't know.
Scored 13 points at Arkansas.
It's not going to be good, I don't think.
I don't think so.
This may be the best game. I don't know if it means that much. Well, it does obviously to these schools and these teams, but nationally it doesn't mean a ton. But the AAC Conference Championship game is UCF and Tulane in a rematch back in New Orleans here. Tulane a 4-point favorite in this game, even though they lost to UCF once. Do you think Tulane gets revenge and wins the AAC?
Well, I watched that whole game. They were dominated. You at UCF controlled the line of scrimmage, ran all over them. And suddenly now Tulane's a 4-point favorite. I don't quite get that. I know UCF's struggling. Tulane got a huge break last week, and I didn't know the Cincinnati quarterback was hurt. And they barely won at Cincinnati. I don't know. I think I'm going to go UCF +4 in this. I'm not sure Tulane's going to beat them.
I lean UCF +4. We've been pretty much the same on all of these so far. I'm with you. I think UCF plus the 4 points, you take it. I think the game could be close, but like I said, UCF kind of dominated in the first game, and I know turnovers played a little bit of a factor in that game as well, but I don't know. I think that's going to get close. I like UCF with the points. Fresno State and Boise State. This should be a really good game if you like football, the Mountain West Championship. I know it's not a great a sexy game as far as they're undefeated or anything like that. But these two teams are on a roll. These two teams have played great to end the season. Boise State, a 3-point favorite in this spot. It's another game, like you said, these little conferences, they play on home field. So it is at Boise. What do you think here, Fresno and Boise?
Well, I think basically they're 3-point favorites because they're at home. I don't think there's any doubt. Fresno got off to a horrible start. And I don't know if they had injuries or they made some lineup changes and it all started clicking. They were 1-4 after the first 5 games. They're on a 7-game winning streak. And they went through the conference and won 7 in a row. And so they're playing great. If this game was in Fresno, I think they would be favored. I watched Boise State some last week against Utah State, and they had to hold on, and they were struggling in that one. Utah State was driving to take the lead and turned it over. In fact, I think Boise State intercepted the pass and ran it back 90 yards. Or maybe they stopped them, and then they ran a quarterback option or something. He went. Something happened. There was a 90-yard run involved in there to kind of give them some breathing room. I can't pick against Boise at home. I think they're going to win because it's in Boise. But this 3:00 game is better than the SEC game, I think.
Yeah, it needs to be a very competitive game. I'm going to go that underdog again. I'll go Fresno State plus the 3. I think you take the points with them. I've watched Fresno a lot this year. They have just gotten so much better. Watched them early in the season. They just did not look good, but they have gotten better. Their defense is pretty solid, and I think they'll be able to keep it close. I'm going to take the Bulldogs plus the 3. 2 to go to wrap up college football regular season. Purdue versus Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. Michigan, a 16.5-point favorite. We've seen how lopsided it is when you got Michigan and Ohio State versus anybody out of this other side of the Big Ten. I don't know. Is this going to be any kind of game at all?
It shouldn't be. The one factor you got to look at is we talked about it a little bit with I can't remember who it was. Kansas State. They don't have anything to lose. And I don't think Michigan does either. If they lose, I think they're still in the playoffs. But Purdue can turn it loose, take some chances, do some things, because no one expects them to stay in the game. So, they can take some shots. Whereas Michigan's expected to win. And sometimes when you're expected to win real big, you don't play as good. And then there's the Ohio State factor. Are they going to be able to come back from that and give the same effort? That is a question mark because they're not playing a very good team. And sometimes you have a hard time getting them back ready to play. 16.5, I think they cover. I don't think it's much of a game unless they're just not ready to play.
I think they'll come out ready. I think it's still a conference championship game. I think all that you're saying there, it would be a little bit more scary if the opponent was capable. I just don't think they are. I'm talking about Purdue. So I'm going to go Michigan to cover this. I think they're going to cover. I don't have enough confidence in Purdue. I do think Purdue is the best team out of that side, and they got behind the 8 ball out of just stupid, like just dumb losses. Mm-hmm. I do think they're the best team out of that side.
I think we say that because they can score.
Yeah, but no, they almost beat Penn State. They should have beat Penn State. Now they've also lost games that they had no business losing. Too,
but they've got an ability to score a little bit.
Yeah,
and that's the only chance. Have they played Iowa? Oh, come on. Iowa has no chance to score.
No.
They played Minnesota, same thing. Had they played Wisconsin, even Illinois. And Illinois probably is the second best team on that side. Yeah. And they blew it when they lost to some rinky-dink. I can't remember who it was down the stretch. Michigan State, I think, beat them.
Yeah, and they've lost to Purdue at home. And so they blew it for sure.
Yeah. So I'm with you 100%. This is the best team on that side, and that's not saying anything. So the fact that they can throw it around a little bit, and if they can break some stuff, maybe they're going to have to get a turnover or two from Michigan. Maybe block a punt, something crazy. maybe to stay in the game for a while. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they win like, I don't know, 42-20, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty ugly.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Clemson and North Carolina for the ACC championship game. Clemson, a 7.5-point favorite in here. Boy, a couple of weeks ago, we thought, wow, these two teams might be 11-1. Well, they've lost. South Carolina lost, or excuse me, Clemson got beat by South Carolina last week. North Carolina's lost 2 in a row. They've looked terrible. Clemson, a 7.5-point favorite in this one. Final one. Who you got?
This is a toughie, I think. Now, North Carolina is stumbling into this.
That's just it.
They both are.
If North Carolina was playing decent, I'd be like, okay, maybe, but I don't know.
Clemson has got to get their quarterback situation solved in the offseason. They're going to have to, I think they're going to have to give up on the guy. Don't you?
Yes.
They've given him 2 years, and he doesn't look any better this year than he did last year.
No.
And that's why they're 10-2. And they're going to have to address that situation. I think they win. They're better than North Carolina on the line of scrimmage. The key will be they got to get pressure on the North Carolina quarterback because you look at the game, who's got the best quarterback? They do, North Carolina by far. But I don't think North Carolina is physical enough to stop them.
Give me Clemson all day. This North Carolina team, they had a chance here to really build some momentum towards this game. They have been trashed the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think Clemson bounces back. I'll take Clemson in this spot. All right, let's go to the NFL. What do you say? Let's go to tonight's game. I think tonight's game is very interesting. The Bills go on the road to take on the Patriots. The Bills are 3.5-point favorites here on the road. That number has went down. It was Buffalo -5. Now it's down to 3.5. I know who you like. You like Buffalo. Tell us why.
Well, I think it's a huge game for both teams for different reasons. Buffalo, you would have to think, is going to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's iffy with the Patriots. And when you've been in that division for this dominance that New England's had over the last couple of decades, it's still tough to go beat them, even though they're not what they used to be. But they have beat Buffalo a lot through the year. So going to New England's going to have some kind of a stigma on the Bills probably. But the Bills are better. They're a better team. And they've got more weapons. They got far and away the best quarterback. 3.5 is not that many points. I refuse to pick New England. I just can't. I hate to bet against them, but I just can't. But when you look at the situation, huge week, because I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. If the Bills win, they'll go to 9-3. Miami, who they're tied with right now, but Miami owns the tiebreaker at the moment, they go to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Bills were to lose this game and Miami wins it, that is a huge blow to Buffalo.
Yep.
Huge. So they really need to win this, because if they win it and Miami loses, now they've got a leg up, and they've got a game left with Miami in Buffalo. So this is a big weekend for the AFC East. If they lose, they're now 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have a shot, but because the teams ahead of them, the Jets are 7-4, Cincinnati's 7-4. The Bengals are really good, but they've got a tough schedule. It's murder. They got Chiefs this week. So back to what you said. I'm taking Buffalo -3.5.
I will take New England. I think they'll keep it closer than 3.5. They may pull off the upset. I think the home field advantage is going to be big. I don't think Josh Allen's healthy. I don't think the Bills are healthy in general. Not going to be shocked the Bills beat them, but I'll take a shot with New England plus that 3.5. I think they'll keep it close. I liked 5 a heck of a lot better earlier in the week, but I'll take 3.5. I think the Bills win. I think it's very, very close. All right, let's go to Sunday. Steelers and the Falcons. This is a big game for the Falcons, but the Steelers are a 1-point favorite, even though the Falcons are at home. Gosh, what do you think?
I think we discussed this about a minute. Atlanta has to win. They just have to. But Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh. I'm going the Steelers. I'm going to take them.
I'll take Atlanta. They need to win this game big time, and they still got a shot. Losing record could get you in, and I think that they're good. It's going to get you in. They need to win this thing. I think the Falcons get it done. I'm not a believer in the Steelers.
I watched them Monday night. They look pretty good.
Yeah, I'm still not a believer in the Steelers. Dennis said, by the way, he wishes he had Prime for the first time tonight. Tonight is a good game, finally.
It is. It's really good.
Good. Dennis also thinks Falcons by a ton. Packers and the Bears, another nothing game. Bears are 4.5-point favorite. Green Bay's a 4.5-point favorite in Chicago. I don't have an opinion on this one way or the other, really. What about you?
How do we know? Is Rodgers out?
I think he's going to play, from what I've heard.
God. How can you pick it? Stay away from it. My say. If I have to make a pick, I'm going to go Bears plus 4.5.
Yeah, I mean I'm not picking. How about that? I don't want to bet the Bears or the Packers, either one. Nope. So, I'm just staying away from that. I'm not. It's hard to be confident about anything that either one of these teams are doing this year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Speaking of the battle of the big cats, the Jaguars and the Lions here. Both teams are 4-7. Both teams at times have been okay and at times have been pretty tragically bad. Jacksonville, a 1-point favorite on the road against the Lions. What do you think of this game?
Vegas likes Jacksonville.
Yeah.
They've been favored a lot of times for a 4-7 team.
Yeah.
Or if they're not favored, they're just slight underdogs. They like them. I don't. Detroit plus 1.
I will take Detroit as well. I've been picking Detroit a lot and winning a lot.
Yeah.
So that's got to end at some point, and it's probably here. This is another one. It's just like, I don't know what's going to happen.
They won 3 in a row. They played good Thanksgiving Day. They did not play bad against Buffalo.
They could have beat them.
They could have.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville's not as good as Buffalo. So if the Lions bounce back, win number 5 for Detroit on Sunday.
Yeah, pretty much all the points you said are accurate with that. Gosh, I may flip back and forth on that one. I don't know. It's another one. It's like it's tough to sink your teeth into. I really want to play this game type of comments. Let's put it that way.
I kind of like the game, so.
I think it'll be a good game.
Well, I'm not going to watch it. I think for betting purposes, I think Detroit's pretty solid.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Jets and the Vikings. The Vikings are a 3-point favorite over the Jets here. The Vikings picked up a big win last week. Got to host another team coming out of that tough division over on the other side there. The Jets, they're 7-4. It's a big game for them. They got good quarterback play last week. Can they beat the Vikings this week?
No, easy. Vikings -3.
Yeah, I was the same way. I didn't toy with this one. I just said, we'll take the Vikings in this one and go on. Jets are scrappy. If not for New England, my goodness, the Jets, they would be looking even better, but they did lose twice to them. All right, keep it going. This is a big, I'll emphasize big one more time game. Commanders and the Giants. Commanders 7-5, Giants 7-4. The game is in New York. The Giants are leaking. They are not very good right now. Can they get it turned around this weekend at home against the Commanders?
I'm looking out here at my mailman. He's gone up and down. He put stuff in the mailbox, went down a little ways, backed up, put something else in the mailbox, went down a little ways, and backed up again and put something else in the mailbox. So anyway, huge game, huge. And you got Washington favored. And that shows you there's not a lot of respect for the Giants. And the Commanders are playing really well. I think they win. I'm going to go Washington -2.5.
I win with the Giants. I think they're due to win, and I think the Commanders are due to lose. I think both these teams are pretty similar. I don't know who's going to get the last laugh in this thing, but I do think the Giants are going to get it done this weekend. I took the Giants in this game.
You hate the Giants.
I do. I pick against them a lot, but
I'm shocked.
I just think they're going to beat them. I think they're going to play a good game.
Okay.
I think they're going to beat them. All right, Titans on the road playing the Eagles. Can the Eagles pick up another win? 4.5-point favorites for the Eagles.
I love to watch them. I watch them Monday night. They're kind of fun. They can do some stuff. Jalen Hurts is kind of hard to stop. He's pretty good. I tell you, is he faster? Does he look faster to you than he did when he said OU? I mean,
he looks great.
He does. He's zipping that ball too, and he's got some great receivers. They got weapons all over the place. The 2 times I've got to watch the Eagles a lot, their defense has not played very well. And they really played well early in the season, so I don't know what's going on there. There's this dadgum Tennessee bunch. They screw with me all the time.
Yep.
Now they are getting respect. 4.5. I'm going to go Tennessee plus 4.5. I think they might beat them.
I'm going to go the Eagles. Tennessee lost last week at home. It's a tough spot. I'm going to go the Eagles to get the job done this week.
I think the Eagles are going to win. I think it might be really close.
All right. The most disgusting franchise in the world, the Denver Broncos, are on the road playing another disgusting bunch, the Baltimore Ravens, who are somehow 7-4. Ravens are coming off that tough loss against those tough Jacksonville Jaguars last week. But they do get the worst quarterback in the league this week. They are 8.5-point favorites. Can the Ravens cover 8.5 at home against the Broncos?
You can't bet them. You just can't. I mean, I don't know. Hurts is turning to a real prick. What's that mean? This, as a Giants fans, means they are a really good team. I got you. Okay. If they don't cover this week, who in the world could they cover? I don't think they covered against Carolina, did they? Or did they?
No.
Yeah. That's right. I think I took that. No, I took the under, didn't I?
No, you took Carolina plus 10.
Okay.
No, you took Carolina plus 13, and they beat them by 10.
Okay, that's what it was. All right. Denver plays everybody pretty close. You better take Denver plus 8.5.
If Baltimore doesn't cover this,
I know.
They
didn't beat Jacksonville. They scored 27 points and lost.
Denver got smoked against Carolina last week. They have quit. They have totally quit. Baltimore minus 8.5.
You're right. Why bet that game? My God.
All right, another disgusting franchise, as Jason points out. The Texans host the Browns, and guess what? The Browns have the old Texans quarterback back. Deshaun Watson is going to play his first game this week.
Oh, he is, huh?
Yes, Cleveland a 7-point favorite. Watson playing. You would think Cleveland would cover.
You would think.
What do you think?
And he gets to play his first game in Houston.
Yeah. Funny how that works out.
Isn't that funny? Well, before you said that, I didn't know he was playing. I was going to take the Texans plus 7. But this is the worst team in the league. Cleveland won last week. Has Deshaun been practicing? Has he been able to practice?
Oh, yeah.
So when you're kicked out for 11 games, you can practice?
I think so.
That's nice. Well, if he's in form and everything, they should win. So I'll have to go Cleveland minus 7.
I'll go Cleveland. I think they'll play pretty well in this one. All right, Seattle on the road, taking on the Rams. Bad loss for the Seahawks last week, but good news for them. They get a Rams team that's just, they're done. Seattle's a 7-point favorite, though. That's a lot of points. What do you think of this one? Weird game.
Well, I thought the Rams showed a lot of pride last week in Kansas City. I thought they played hard because they have no chance to score. They have no quarterback. They have no offense. They have no shot. And in the NFL, if you have no shot to score, you can't. I don't know if you watched much of it. I didn't. I watched some of it. All they tried to do was run it and run clock. That's all they could do.
Yeah.
So you got to take the Seahawks. The Seahawks, I think, are getting ready to fall. But I think they can score enough to beat the Rams. I don't know the 7. I guess you got to take the Seahawks minus the 7 because I don't think the Rams can score.
Yeah, same. I would stay away from it though.
Yeah,
It's a
definitely.
weird. The Seahawks were too. I mean, they were just awful last week. They really were. Couldn't stop the run. So we'll see if they can stop it against the Rams.
Yep.
This is probably one of the two that's a game of the week. Dolphins and the 49ers. The Dolphins are 8-3. They've been playing great. The 49ers 7-4. They've been playing great. 49ers are a 4-point favorite here at home. Who do you like in this one?
Well, we're going to find out a lot about the Dolphins in this game. You know, they lost the 3 games that they've lost without Tua. They haven't really played a great team since then. San Francisco's playing as well as anybody. They're hard to beat out there. And if the Dolphins go in there and win that, they're good. They're legit. So this is really big. They're going to try to prove something. Yeah, this is a really big game. I like the Niners. I think they've got enough defense to beat them. Big test for Tua in this one. The 4 points, I wish it was 3.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think I'm going to take Dolphins plus 4, but I think the 49ers are going to win.
Same. I'm taking the Dolphins plus the 4. I kind of saw what the Chiefs were able to do to the 49ers, and I think the Dolphins can do similar stuff. They've got those kind of weapons. I'll take the Dolphins plus the 4 here and try to get the underdog home, take those points. Yeah, Dennis says 49ers overrated. I'm still not 100% sold on them. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This is a big win. And if they could go beat them and beat them pretty easily, look good, they'd be big. But I could see them getting beat too. So we'll see what happens in that one. That's going to be a great game. All right, Chiefs and the Bengals. Big game here as well. Chiefs trying to get revenge on the Bengals. A 2-point favorite are the Chiefs here in this spot in Cincinnati. I went Kansas City. I think they're going to beat them. What is your thoughts?
Do you think that is this a revenge game? You think a little bit for the Chiefs? You think they're really going to point to this game as is this like a building block for them? Like, hey, we're going to go into a tough place and win, and it's going to mean a lot to them. I would think that's what they would be thinking.
I would think. I would be surprised if not.
Yeah. So if they enter this with the right frame of mind, like, hey, this is one of the last big games we got left. We got to go in there and prove that we're the best team in the AFC. And I think if that's the case, I think they're better than the Bengals. It's only 2 points. The Chiefs never cover. So I think they barely did last week.
They did cover last week.
Yeah. And that's one of the first times when they have a double-digit cover that they finally did. Huge game for Cincinnati. I will say this. If Cincinnati wins this game, they may end up winning the division. This is just a big game for them. This is a really good game. But I'm going to go Chiefs minus 2.
Yeah, I went Chiefs as well. Like I said, I think they're going to be tough in this spot. I think they're ready to go in there and get some revenge after getting knocked out of the playoffs by this team last season. All right, the field may explode in this game. I mean, with awfulness. The Chargers and the Raiders, it's even right now. Listen, the Chargers should win. I'm going to take the Chargers, but
how can you not?
Well, there's so many reasons. I'm not going to be shocked at all if they lose.
Well, you know what? Oakland's won 2 in a row. Or Oakland. I'll say that until I die. Las Vegas has won 2 in a row. And they got a better team than 2-7 was. They do.
They do. Yep.
And the Chargers suck.
Yep.
In these kind of games. These are the games they lose. I'm going Raiders.
I don't know.
I think they bumble around and give away points and lose.
I'll take the Chargers. I'll take them, but I don't know. Either one of the. This is a game the Chargers really need, so I think they'll probably end up losing it.
That's right, because if they win this game, they go to 7-5.
Yeah.
Okay, they're battling for that last playoff spot. Let's look who they got left. They got Miami next week. That game is in San Diego, so Miami in LA, because Miami's out on the West Coast 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
They got Tennessee. They got to go to Indy. They got the Rams. They got Denver. So this 3-week stretch, starting this one, they get this one, split those next two, they would be 8-6 with 3 winnable games after that they should win. And if they could get to 10-7, 11-6, they'd make the playoffs. So it's all right there in front of them.
Yeah, they need to get this one. They need to get this one. They can. They absolutely can. I don't know if they will.
They're better than them.
Yeah, I think they are. I don't know.
They have better talent. Let's put it that way.
They have better talent. All right. Colts and the Cowboys. Cowboys 2.5-point favorites. You just would not think the Colts got anything much left to play for. It's at home. It's at night. On Sunday night, you'd think Dallas gets this done, right?
I think so. I mean, the only thing you're looking at is the 10.5.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is. And I don't care who you're playing. That's a lot, because sometimes you could get ahead and then in the last part of it, the other team scores a couple of bogus touchdowns and kills you. 10.5. That half means a lot, as Dennis likes to say, and Samich and a lot of people call it the hook. And so I'm going Dallas. I really like them. I think they're pretty good. And being on Sunday night, I think that'll make a difference too.
I just can't go with the Colts. Dallas should dominate their offense. That's the kind of offense Dallas should really give a lot of problems to. Not a quarterback that's not very good, not mobile. I'll take the Cowboys. I'm sure they'll win by like 8 or something like that. But all right, final one on Monday Night Football: Saints and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers 3.5-point favorites here at home. Another big game. They really need it. I think Tampa gets it done, but boy, oh boy, have they been rough.
Tampa 17, Saints 14. Saints plus 3.5.
Oh, Saints plus 3.5. You're taking the Saints. That's gross. But I could see it. I think it'll be a tough game. It's weird because the Saints, as bad as they've been, if they could win like 3 in a row, they'd be in first. So we'll see if they can do
Ain't
that.
gonna happen.
Yeah. All righty. Well, that's it. Do you have any questions for us before we end the show?
I don't have any good ones, but I got some crap. How about that?
Okay. That's what we're looking for.
Okay. This is okay. All the rest of them besides this one will be either ors.
Okay.
Okay. This one's not. And this one's maybe my best question. If you didn't know your age, how old would you think you are? In other words, how old do you feel?
Oh, what a good one. Well, my back has been killing me the last 2 days. So I don't feel that young right now. No, I would be like 20 something, 25, 23, 22.
I figured you'd say that.
Yeah.
You think your back may be hurting because you're at the computer a lot.
Yes.
And that's your job. So
yep.
I don't have an answer for you on that, because I remember when I started doing this, I was at the computer so much and my back was killing me. I've gotten kind of used to it. And it's not as bad as it was. I have to get up and move around. Something I can't sit for an hour.
Right.
Time. Everybody I know, and I'm fortunate to be as healthy as I am, and it's going to all go to pot here one of these days probably, but they all, when they find out how old I really am, which I'm not going to tell you,
right,
they are amazed. So, and I think I look horrible, but I feel like I'm 40.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I'm gimping a little and I can't work like I used to. And, go out in the yard. I used to be able to work all afternoon. It's an hour at a time. That kind of stuff. I don't feel 40, but I look at people my age and they look a lot older than me. And then I think to myself, God, I'm old, but I don't feel like it. So I'm very fortunate. I'm not going to say 40. I'm going to say 50 probably. So that's fine.
Yeah. I could definitely see that for sure. Dennis had a question.
Okay.
He loves Hoosier Philly, the 2-year-old that just won the Golden Rod at Churchill Downs. Should he love her as much as should I love her as much as I do? Yeah. So I guess
That's the Amos horse, right?
What's that?
That's the Amos horse.
Yeah, I think she's pretty good. I am not like, I'm not like Rachel good yet or untappable or something like that, but I think she's very good. I want to really see her. I'm guessing Fairgrounds is where we'll go next with her. I want to see what she does as a 3-year-old first before I really think she's, something special. I'm a little questionable on who she's been beating in those 2 races, but yeah, I mean, she's very good. She's doing it very easily. He says, he goes on to think that she's one of the most mature 2-year-old fillies he's seen in a few years. Yeah, I would agree. And I think there's room for improvement, though. She was kind of flip-flopping leads in the stretch in that last race. So, yeah, I like her a lot. I don't think she's like, hey, let's take on the boys type, but I think she's very good.
Yeah, wouldn't you think that would be foolish at this time to do that? Take on the boys.
Yes. She doesn't have numbers that are real overwhelming. Yes, I would think it'd be a little bit much. I think stay with the fillies for now.
Yeah, and the thing is, she's only 2.
Yep.
And lots of stuff can happen to those 2-year-olds. We've seen them get off to great starts, and then they just don't follow it up. So lots and lots of promise, though.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to downplay her. I'm just saying I'm not like crazy over the moon about her, but I am thinking, she'll probably be 3 to 5 and deservedly so in her next start. So let's see if she progresses a little bit. But yeah, she's awfully exciting.
No so doubt. He will take her to the fairgrounds probably.
That'd be my guess. Yeah. I would say she'll show up there next.
I wonder if she'll make her way to Oaklawn.
I would not think so unless timing works out, or maybe she doesn't like the fairgrounds or something like that. But no, I would think she will stay in the fairgrounds. By the way, and I know you haven't seen this, John White has predicted that a Steve Asmussen trained horse, Extra Anejo, is going to win the Triple Crown in 2023. Wow,
that's a pretty good endorsement.
He predicted this on November 30th yesterday. His article came out. He does a weekly article for Express Bet. And he has predicted that Extra Anejo not only will win the Kentucky Derby, but will win the Triple Crown. I knew that would get you excited being an Asmussen fan.
How many races has the horse ran?
1.
So he broke his maiden.
Uh-huh.
Where was it at?
He broke his maiden at Keeneland going 7 furlongs.
Easy win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was really, really good. Yeah.
And is this a gun runner horse or?
I think it's an Into Mischief out of a hard spun mare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later on Blinkers Off whenever we do it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Very interesting there. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. He's pretty knowledgeable for sure.
Yep. All right. Any other ones?
Do you like reality shows or documentaries?
Documentaries.
Me too. I hate reality shows.
I do too.
The more I watch them, I just think they're scripted.
Oh, there's no reality to reality shows. That's why I do not like them. Yes.
Nope, I don't like them. This is an interesting one.
Okay.
Do you think being homeschooled or being classroom learning, which one do you think's the best?
Ooh.
There's a lot of people, a lot of parents, especially in bigger cities, I think, that are going the homeschool route. If I lived in like in New York City or somewhere like that, I might have thought about it. Now around here, I would never. I think being around kids are good. It's good. It's better than not. When you become an adult, you at least know how to interact with people.
God, that's a tough one.
It is.
Everything going on in schools now, I don't know that homeschool might not be the best option.
If you homeschool, you've got to have an outlet for these kids to get around other kids. You just do.
That's what Jason said. The classroom for everything you learn outside of a textbook is true.
Yeah. You have to interact with people your age and how to adjust to situations.
I think you said it best. It depends on where you live. I mean, I don't know that you could really say that. I think it just depends on the situation, I guess. That's tough. I don't know.
If I lived in a bigger city like St. Louis or somewhere like, I would try to enroll my children in a private school because I do think classroom learning, you learn how to do things on somebody else's time. In other words, there's a schedule.
Yeah.
When you're homeschooled, you get it done whenever you want to.
Yeah.
And that's not the way life is. Right. You don't get that choice. And you learn a lot in school. You do. But private school, I think, would be the way to go in a bigger city. It's smaller. They have rules that public schools can't do.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Glad I'm not a parent. It's a difficult question. I agree.
Yeah. For example, where you live, Joplin High School is not good.
Well, no, it doesn't seem like it. No.
It's too big. That's another thing too that we could talk about someday. In like, you went to a medium-sized school.
Yeah.
It wasn't big. It wasn't little. Aurora, where we live, is not big. It's not little.
Well, it's a middle of the road for the state of Missouri. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you go up in 2 or 3 classes, and you're in grades with 600 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's bad. I do. Mm. Now, it does prepare you for college because when you go to college, it's not much bigger,
Right. Yeah.
And it does help you in that regard because coming from small schools, we knew every kid in school. You might not know them personally, but you knew who they were pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it's an interesting question.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Jason. I do think, and I'm an educator, I think you do need to grow up with other kids and you need to form friendships and you need to deal with bullying and you need to handle those kind of situations. I think homeschool, you tend to be more protected.
Sure.
Shielded.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of areas now that do have homeschools, they have formed athletic teams to where you do get to compete in sports. There are homeschool basketball teams now around here. So
yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one. And that is a tough one.
It really is. One more, roller coasters or water slides?
I'll go roller coasters.
I like them both, but I always heard this: when you got older, you couldn't do roller coasters anymore. That's the truth.
Really?
I can't do them. I get sick.
Huh.
And when I was younger, I don't get sick, but I would if I rode them a lot. And yeah, Isaac, I'm glad you went to Circoxie High School too, because I got to meet you. So
yeah, well, and Isaac goes to a smaller school, and you taught at a smaller school, so that that changes things too.
The smaller schools are more intimate. You get to know everybody. All the teachers know each other. I know at a smaller school, I taught at a bigger school too, but at a smaller school, the staff is so much more together.
Yeah.
At a bigger school, there's jealousies all over the place. At a smaller school, you're all in it together. But anyway, back to this. Yeah, I tried to get on roller coaster because I love roller coasters. I could ride them all day long. And I rode one down at Silver Dollar City, and man, get me the hell off that thing.
I'm kind of with Dennis and with Jason. Water slides, not as much. Like if it's like a wave pool, that's a little bit different. I'm not like a big, let's go down the water slide type of guy.
That kind of affects you when you get older too. I hadn't been on one in years. Got on one, I don't know, 8-9 years ago at a city pool somewhere. And there's a little kid in front of me. And I said, "You think I can handle this?" And he goes, "I doubt it." Probably 10 years old.
I don't have a lot of desire to do like water slides.
I tell you what, I got on that, and I thought I was going to drown when I hit the bottom. I was just going, and then I got used to it. I wrote it again, and it's better. I guess it's just, you're not used to doing it anymore. Isaac, your questions. The Chiefs are great.
Yep.
No question about it. They did pick up a kid from Missouri Southern. I don't know, Aaron, whether you saw that. The Williams kid from Southern that's played with the Bengals, I think.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
He was on the Chiefs taxi squad, and they brought him up, and he's on the roster, which is cool. Missouri Southern, where you and I graduated, small school.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, he now is on the Chiefs, and I don't know how much he'll play. He's a lineman. So I think it's really great, Isaac. And your Chiefs are playing tremendous.
Yep. I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Well, that's all I got.
All right. Well, that's it then. We're done.
All right.
That's it for everything. We are finished. It's over. All right. That's it for today, guys. Yeah, we've exhausted all of our questions for today. We'll be back on Monday next week, I promise, and we'll have more questions as well. All right.
If life doesn't get in the way, and that's what's been happening.
Yes. It's been a long 3 weeks, 2 weeks at least. Magic Mike coming on in an hour and 45 minutes. Magic Mike will be here. Blinkers off will happen at some point today. So make sure to tune back in for that. I'm guessing, haven't heard anything about it, and it's 2:16, so probably after Magic Mike, I would imagine we will get blinkers off. So
there, okay.
Yes, it will be there. Cigar Mile probably be the big topic, and then some of the races at Del Mar for blinkers off, and then I guess they'll go to Aqueduct. I'm not really sure for Magic Mike. Tune in, find out. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you back on this show Monday, and good luck to everybody playing sports or horses this weekend.
This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Halterman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.